We take a look at our next matchup. Ricardo Ruvalcaba taking on Luis Alberto Verón. And we are ready to meet the fighters as we send it back up to Lupe.
Making his walk to the ring, Luis Verón.
So Luis Verón makes his way to the ring, a man you've seen on the American airwaves plenty over the years, but now has a record of 20, 10, and 2. He's lost 7 of his last 8 fights, and last time out was stopped in the 7th round by Tamir Smalls. This is a man who has been used by matchmakers as a guy to test prospects, to give them rounds over the years. We'll see if he can turn back the clock a little bit and do that tonight against Ricardo Ruvalcaba, the undefeated fighter from Ventura, California. And we're going to take a closer look at Ricardo right now.
My name is Ricardo Ruvalcaba. I train at Wildcard Boxing Gym right here in Hollywood. I'm from Ventura, California. Somebody on Rolly Romero's management team trains at Wildcard. He asked one of the trainers if anybody had a similar body type, style to Ryan Garcia. I said, yes, let's do it. I feel like it helped me grow as a fighter. I feel like more confident because he is now a 3-time world champion. I prepared him well for that fight. I am a sparring partner, but I don't get fucked up in my sparrings, you know? That gives me confidence by itself. There's been sparring partners that send me home because I'm too much for them. I don't really have that sparring partner mentality. When I go in the ring, I'm very calm. The hard work I put in the gym just gives me the confidence mentally to perform in the ring. Athletes are human. We have highs and lows. If you have a strong foundation, God in your life, you could go through anything. Being in the ring with world champions, guys making 6, 7, 8 figures, just gives me the confidence in a real fight. My opponent definitely has been battle tested. Most of them couldn't knock him out. I'm looking to make a statement for sure.
His opponent, Ricardo Ruvalcaba.
So Ricardo Ruvalcaba makes his way to the ring finally after what was effectively a 5-month training camp for this fight, as he had a series of fights that fell through. We last saw him scoring an 8-round unanimous decision over Jabin Chalet on the Rocha Curiel undercard. That was back in December of last year. So after 5 months of anticipation and training, we'll get back to action live here on DAZN tonight against Luis Verón. Big opportunity for Ruvalcaba to show his stuff as we take a look at the tail of the tape. He'll enjoy a height and reach advantage here tonight, will Ruvalcaba, as the 24-year-old will see what exactly Luis Verón has left.
We continue inside the Avalon Hollywood. This is Championing Mental Health, a night of boxing, a presentation of 555 Media along with Bash Boxing, and being sponsored by Alleviate Tax, Athletes for Hope in association with WBC Cares. This contest set for a limit of 8 rounds in the welterweight division. Scoring the action, our judges are Thomas Taylor, Ron Scott Stevens, and Carla Caiz. Presenting the blue corner, he enters the ring wearing black with gold trim. He weighed in at 146 1/4 pounds tonight. This fighter with boxing in his blood enters the ring with a record of 20 victories against 10 losses, 2 bouts even, 9 of those victories coming by way of KO. Representing Buenos Aires, Argentina, Luis Lucho Verón. His opponent across the ring in the red corner, wearing black, he weighed in at the welterweight limit of 147 pounds. Tonight, against his toughest opposition to date, he risks it all including his undefeated record of 13 victories, with 1 bout even and 10 of those victories coming by way of knockout. From Ventura, California, Ricardo Rubalcaba. A referee, Rudy Barragan.
All right, fellas. Belt's good here. Your belt is going to be right there. The white is going to be good right under the cuff, okay? Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Good luck to you both.
Well, there's a lot of excitement in the Wild Card Boxing Club these days, of course, considering the impending return of Manny Pacquiao, but Ricardo Ruvalcaba is a part of a new generation, a young generation of wild card fighters on their way up. And tonight he takes the biggest step up of his career against Luis Verón. Round 1 underway. This one's scheduled for 8.
Ruvalcaba, managed by Frank Espinoza, long-time boxing manager, big name in the sport, who, you mentioned Raul Curiel, he is his manager, and Curiel introduced Ruvalcaba to Frank Espinoza, and Espinoza took him on, so they're pushing his career strongly.
Yeah, and Manu, Espinoza is one of those managers. He's one of those boxing minds whose opinion you trust. When he decides to sign a fighter, it's meaningful.
Absolutely, obviously guided the careers of Oscar Valdez, Israel Vasquez. A lot of people in Southern California have enjoyed having Frank Espinoza as their manager. Abner Mares as well back in the day.
You can see the speed and the weight of the jab of Ruvalcaba already. When he throws it out there, there's some serious velocity behind that left hand. There it is right there, a triple jab that backs Verón up.
And the one thing that has been clear from the get-go is the hand speed of Ruvalcaba. He's operating on a different wavelength than Verón right now, and I don't think it's going to end too well for Verón just because of that.
So yeah, sweeping right hand, connecting there on Verón. You saw Verón shake his head. And Al, that has been a little bit of a concerning trend for Verón in recent fights, and it's something you see in fighters as they start to approach that cliff. Those shots that are kind of around the guard, around the temple area, are starting to bother him.
Yeah, you know, he was 18-0 starting his career, and even after he started maybe losing some of the fights, winning distance with Elvis Rodriguez, Johan Ergashev, with Alexei Rocha. So he went the distance with a lot of good fighters. Now he's getting stopped by some of these young undefeated fighters, and he's hoping he can turn that around tonight, but it is bothersome.
Verón, a self-described gym rat who is just always training and always looking for short notice opportunities. He's capitalized on some of them in the past, but to your point, Al, it has been a couple of years since we've seen one of those triumphs.
And he has never won in the United States. He's 0-8, so that's a tough streak for him.
Inside the final 30 seconds here of round 1. Pretty clean round here for Ruvalcaba. As he looks for that left hook to the body. Nice check left hook there from Ruvalcaba. Couldn't find it to the body, found it up top. Seconds tick away here. And we will head to the stools after the opening round.
Ruvalcaba was able to control the geography of that first round with his height and reach, and using the jab to control Verón, and was mixing in some right hands and other punches as well. Verón never able to really get on the inside where he thought he could do damage. And Ruvalcaba fought, I thought, a very controlled first round.
Round 2 underway. Good start for the 24-year-old Ricardo Ruvalcaba. I mentioned his managerial deal with Frank Espinoza, but still a promotional free agent. He's kind of been bouncing around between different promoters' cards, and he's talked about how he's liked that kind of strategy in terms of his movement. And, you know, Manuk, we've seen that be effective for young prospects because even though you don't have that big promotional contract yet, you're also not beholden to the schedule of your promoter's dates. So Ruvalcaba has been able, aside from this 5-month break where he's had a lot of fights get canceled, has been able to stay pretty busy.
Absolutely, which is why we have the pleasure of seeing him here tonight. There's only so many key players in the sport who have the TV dates, so an amazing opportunity here to showcase his skills in his 15th career fight, and he has a very high ceiling. It'll be interesting to see how Frank Espinoza guides his career moving forward, just like he's done with a lot of the legends we mentioned before.
You can feel like Verone is really the gears are turning in his mind. How can I get on the inside against this guy? And he's trying to left hook to the body, and he just can't get inside where he can do a little damage. Ruvalcaba, I think this is an interesting fight. You know, he often is a pure boxer puncher, but in this fight, I think he's being even more cautious in his approach, knowing he's in with the veteran and wants to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes that will cost him.
Nice right hand there from Ruvalcaba as he rips a nice body shot downstairs, and Verone taking extra caution to block that second one. I don't think he liked that first left hook to the body. Nice uppercut there from Ruvalcaba.
Ruvalcaba sparred with Rolly Romero when he was prepping for the recent Ryan Garcia fight that Romero won, so that was good experience for him.
Good body work there from Ruvalcaba, turning the corner, pinning Verone against the ropes there momentarily.
Key in this fight's going to be against the 32-year-old Verone. That body work, I think, is going to be essential.
Final 20 seconds of the second round. Ruvalcaba maybe looking to pot shot counter here off the ropes. Pacing himself a little bit here in the second round. It's been another good one for the pride of Ventura, California.
Ruvalcaba was, as Verone was anxious to get on the inside, Ruvalcaba was still able to control the territory of this fight and keep him from doing it. And while he was doing it, he was landing some really good shots. You see him try to get that left hand in there, and
Round 3 begins. Ricardo Ruvalcaba and Luis Verone. 47-pound action as Luis Verone gets yet another assignment against yet another tough prospect. As he sails a right hand over the top, got countered to the body in the midst of it.
that left hook to the body from Ruvalcaba, and he has a good one, is really bothering Verone a lot in this fight.
You know, Ruvalcaba had a fairly truncated amateur career, just 17-7. You know, really learned on the job, sparring the elite amateurs in the pros at the wild card. You know, to use a major sport analogy, Al. He's kind of like the walk-on who starts performing pretty well against the starters, and the coach says, hey, why aren't you on the team?
That's exactly right. He felt comfortable and was, of course, in that gym, you're facing all kinds of great amateurs and pros, so he felt he was ready to step into the pro ranks.
And that will not be scored a knockdown. Obviously a push there.
Kind of a good strategic move by Ruvalcaba. That was the best 10-second segment of this fight for Verone.
With that kind of stiff arm, he could walk onto the USC football team.
I was about to say, yeah, he looked like an offensive lineman there.
Speaking of walk-ons. All of Ruvalcaba's stoppages have come in the first 4 rounds of fights. So he often is a quick starter in terms of power.
A short right hand there from Verone on the entry, but again, just absorbing those body shots. Ruvalcaba kind of baiting Verone into being a little bit more aggressive here. One of the reasons why Verone has been able to be as active and get the assignments we've been talking about is because generally, up until this recent stretch of getting stopped, he knows how to take care of himself. And a lot of times that has been by playing the spoiler. He doesn't have that choice here tonight, Al, and he just got cracked with a good left hook.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of the interesting things about this fight is the left hook, both the body and the head of Ruvalcaba, more prominent than in some other fights. So that shows, again, even improvement and a fighter maturing.
Closing in on the final 10 seconds here of round 3. Another good round for Ruvalcaba. Again, filled with a consistent body attack. As we will head back to the corners.
In a round in which Verone was trying to be more aggressive and did land a nice right hand, Ruvalcaba kept cranking up those left hands downstairs and upstairs. And even when Verone was starting to get him on the ropes, a little bit of a push-off by Ruvalcaba. I don't know that he meant to push him down, but he wanted to push him off, and Verone did go down. But Verone kept attacking even as the round continued, but for his troubles, he took some shots.
And gentlemen, this is right around the time where Verone has started fading in his last few fights. His last fight was a 7th round knockout loss. The one before that was a 4th round knockout loss. So I think this is probably where Ruvalcaba wants to push the pace a little bit and score the stoppage himself.
Yeah, potential danger zone here for Luis Verone. Manuka, it's also right around the time when we would ask for your scorecard. How do you have this one scored?
This is a shutout so far, 30-27. Pretty easy fight to score. Ruvalcaba's doing a great job countering, letting Verone set at his own traps.
Another good left hand to the body right along the belt line there from Ruvalcaba.
In that fight against Leon Lawson that I announced that one, and 2 fights ago that you're referring to, Lawson just dominated him even more than Ruvalcaba, but it was at this point, as you say, that it started to go even more downhill for Verone as it did in the last fight.
It's 2-1 there from Ruvalcaba, and again, the left hook behind it, that one up top. Stabbing that jab to the body. Verone just has not found a way to stop the body attack of Ruvalcaba.
Ruvalcaba not overcommitting on his punches, and that's what Verone would like. And it's made Ruvalcaba maybe a little less of a volume puncher than he might be in some fights, but it's because he doesn't want to fall into that trap.
Work here on the inside. Ruvalcaba, when he wants to get to the inside, is being permitted to do so. Not a whole lot of resistance. No traffic in the way of Ruvalcaba to get there.
And that's the location where Verón can do some good work, but has not really been able to.
Speaking of traffic, Ruvalcaba drives an hour and a half from Ventura to get to the wild card. Manuk, you're the resident LA expert. I mean, that's a nasty drive every day.
Yeah, the 101, that's the last place you want to be on a weekday, that's for sure.
30 seconds remaining here in round 4. Punch output for Verón slowing a little bit here in the 4th as Ruvalcaba again pops that lightning jab.
Yeah, the Ruvalcaba jab is really good, sometimes a little underused.
Steps in with a beautiful left hook to the body. Full torque on that one, make it 2. Perhaps the 2 best shots of the round right before the bell.
Another round in which Ruvalcaba was able to control the action and get on the inside a little bit more than he has been in other parts of this fight, and has done good work inside. Verón landing some shots, but Ruvalcaba, who has done great body work in this fight, did his share as well on the inside.
And that was arguably Verón's best round of the fight there.
Yeah,
he had
I agree.
nice sequence there to end the round, and as chinny as he's been in his last few fights, I mean, he's proven to be tougher than a $2 Argentinian steak today.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Round 5 underway. Luis Verón, a part of a big fighting family, 4 brothers who are professional fighters. His father was a professional boxer. His grandfather was a professional boxer. The other brother, however, Eduardo Francisco, has his PhD. He is a renowned social scientist. He went a totally different direction.
A diverse family once we hit the one brother. Ruvalcaba got out to a very big start here in this round. And Verón trying to come back now to kind of take some of that momentum away. So many boxers from Argentina that have come up and tried to make their way into the United States. Marcos Maidana, Lucas Matisse in recent years, and Verón hoped to do that when he got to the United States. Just hasn't worked out for him.
Of course, his brother, Bibu Verón, likely the best of the Veróns, an Olympian, took part in the overtime 154-pound tournament where he lost to Brandon Adams, and a really good fight.
Yeah.
Short, quick left hook there from Ruvalcaba.
And of course, speaking of Argentinian boxing, we have to mention Fernando Martinez, right now the current world champion at flyweight.
Yeah, had that great win over Ioka recently. He's one of the most exciting fighters in boxing.
A lot more movement from Verón here in this round. This is a little more like the Verón of old, the spoiler, giving Ruvalcaba a lot of different looks that he has been doing even in the rounds that Ruvalcaba has had a lot of success in. One thing that Verón can do that tests young fighters is he's going to give you a lot of different looks. It's perpetual motion. It's a lot to look at that hasn't allowed Ruvalcaba to just, drum on him on the inside.
And that's part of the reason why he is so coveted to come in and face these undefeated fighters. And then he will show flashes of offense like he's doing now that is a further test. Ruvalcaba has gotten away from the body attack just a little bit, and I think that one of the keys perhaps to him trying to get the knockout is going back downstairs.
Perhaps the quietest round of the fight here for Ruvalcaba as he tries to liven things up in the final moments with a right hand, but he will get wrapped up as the seconds tick away.
Well, Corey made the point that it might have been the most quiet round for Ruvalcaba of this fight. Just got hit with the right hand there by Verone. But he was still able to get some good work done with the jab. But Verone was more aggressive and made more of an effort on offense, I thought, during that round. And then also had his moments of being, as Corey pointed out, the spoiler, just trying to deaden the pace.
Round 6 now underway. Ricardo Ruvalcaba taking a step up tonight against Luis Verone.
You know, for a fighter early in his career, fighting pretty good opposition, Ruvalcaba. The combined records of his last 5 opponents is 40-13, which when you're in the embryonic stages of career, you don't always see that.
And again, considering the truncated amateur career of Ruvalcaba that we referenced, he doesn't have to just blow past checkpoints the way that a fighter with, say, 100, 200 amateur bouts might be able to. Taking on a guy like Luis Verone here tonight is very valuable experience.
And appropriate. It's an appropriate fight for him. And Verone tonight, to give him his due, has been more of the Luis Verone of a few years ago, where he was able to at least challenge these fighters and make it difficult for them. Not so much like recent fights where he's been down 5 times in his last couple of fights. And, there's the body work by Ruvalcaba again.
And 4, 5, 6 body shots there from Ruvalcaba, who's turning up the heat here. Verone looking a little bit unsteady in the midst of that onslaught. Maybe a little bit of a footwork issue, but perhaps the power of Ruvalcaba and all those body shots for 6 rounds could be starting to weigh on Verone. Looks like a little bit of blood coming from Verone's nose as well. A different posture from Verone here, maybe guarding against some of those body shots as he swipes away at that nose.
Yeah, I believe the nose was busted a couple of rounds ago. He's been pawing at it for the last few frames. The breakdown is continuing for Ruvalcaba. You have to wonder if he's looking for the knockout as well, too.
Just missed with a couple chopping right hands. The ones that we referenced were dangerous for Verone in recent outings, like the one against Tamir Smalls. That was the shot that finished him off. Clash of heads there. That will not help your broken nose.
And in the Lawson fight, Lawson, a real tall, lanky fighter, was able to land that right hand consistently.
Chance of Ricardo here at the Avalon. Get behind Ruvalcaba.
You see Ruvalcaba stepping to left, stepping right. He's very good at using angles. He's not a fighter that's in constant lateral movement, but he knows how to move and use angles.
Closing moments of the round, a dominant one for Ricardo Ruvalcaba.
As Verone continued to try and mount some offense in that last round. It was Ruvalcaba who started to really push the pace, and this was where, as Manuk pointed out, it looked like Ruvalcaba was trying to go for a stoppage, getting back to that great body work and using those left hooks to hurt Verone. And at that point, he looked kind of unsteady and unsure of himself, Verone.
Round 7 begins, and Ricardo Ruvalcaba lands the first shot he throws in the round. A nice stiff jab. Only worsening matters for Luis Verone, who, again, we suspect is fighting through a broken nose at the moment.
And for Verone, going a long distance is not a problem. He has been 8 rounds 5 times and 10 rounds 9 times. Ruvalcaba's been 8 rounds 3 times in his career, so he knows this distance. And we'll soon be seeing him in 10-round fights, no doubt.
And this has to be incredible experience for Ruvalcaba as well, too, because he's had to earn every single second of this fight. Verone is on top of him the entire time, and now we see Ruvalcaba turning the tables a little bit. He's fought this fight at 2 different paces, both on the counter and on the front foot.
Ruvalcaba seemed equally as comfortable doing either. And again, considering the circumstances leading up to this fight for him, a number of fights falling through, it's not like 5 months out of the ring is a tremendous amount of buildup of ring rust, but that start and stop is obviously not ideal for fighters either.
Yeah, these days 5 months isn't considered a monstrous layoff, but as you point out, training camp starting, stopping, that does not lend itself to being at the top of your game always.
And of course, at Wild Card, sometimes the sparring is harder than the actual fight. So
of course,
it's true.
The layoff is not too intense.
Ruvalcaba looking to box a little bit here this round.
Verone's still pushing forward and still trying on the inside to land combinations. And Verone does have a decent left hook, and that's the punch he's trying to accentuate at this point in the fight.
Left hook historically has been the best shot for Verone.
Yeah.
Kind of supplemented with that kind of right hand that we saw right there. Again, it jumps in with that right hand, but the real power shot has been the left hook, and you have to think he's going to need something big here in the final couple of rounds if he wants to break this skid that he's on at the moment. Verone keeping up the tempo as we head into the 8th and final round.
Appeared to be loading up there for the home run swing.
Yeah, the bolo punch, yeah.
The only people with a longer losing streak than Verone in the United States is the Washington Generals.
Whoa, yeah.
I'm sorry, that was mean.
I thought you were going to say the Colorado Rockies. But
No, I wouldn't go. No. I wouldn't rip a franchise. They'll hate me.
If we're talking baseball, I think Ruvalcaba could pitch for the Dodgers because he has a shutout so far. I have the 7 rounds to nothing. 8th and final round coming up. Let's see if he'll
the Avalon
press the pace a little
Hollywood,
bit and look for
one
the
more to
stoppage
go.
that Verone
This
has been a
is
victim
the
to over his
8th
last
and
2
final
fights.
round.
Eighth and final round here at the jam-packed Avalon at Hollywood and Vine.
It's a great venue, by the way, for boxing. It's really,
Yeah, you've got the York Hall-esque balcony up here, right? I think
That's a
more
great
shows need to be here.
that's a great analogy.
And for those who are not aware of the local geography, Wild Card is right down the street less than a mile away. So if Ruvalcaba wanted to break a sweat, he could have probably had a light jog here tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, we walked from the hotel to get here, so you know.
Yeah, we did our road work.
Yeah, we did our road work.
Nice inside work here from Ruvalcaba.
And you know, when a fighter gets hit at this point in the fight, you know, he would like to punctuate it with a stoppage, but it's not mandatory, certainly. And you're facing, even though in recent fights, other people have been able to stop Verone, and maybe people look at comparisons, but you know, it's a mixed bag for you. You don't want to look desperate doing it and get out of your rhythm either.
Ruvalcaba putting a little more zip on these shots, vocalizing a little more as he's throwing them, which would suggest he's putting a little bit more behind them, maybe emptying the tank here in the 8th and final round. Triple left hook there for Ruvalcaba, and Verone will wrap him up once more. Quick uppercut there from Ruvalcaba as well.
Yeah, that's a punch that he's mixed in, but hasn't been able to land the perfect one in this fight. That could have been something that would have stunned Verone even more. And Verone himself using that punch, and he's having some good moments here in this 8th round, Verone.
A couple sweeping hooks connecting there for Verone on the inside.
Al, you mentioned those solid
there
moments, just
Ruvalcaba.
Unfortunately few and far between for Verone as the sand in the hourglass expires here. 40 seconds to go in the 8th and final round.
Another sweeping body shot there from Ruvalcaba.
They've had more two-way action here in this round than some of the others, though.
Verone still bringing it here in the final round as he gets staggered back by a left hook from Ruvalcaba. Looking for a big moment in the closing moments. One final left hook, and that will do it. Well, good learning experience for Ricardo Ruvalcaba here tonight. And on the other side of this matchup for Luis Verone, listen, and barring some wacky scorecards, he's not going to be victorious, but in terms of the way that his career was heading, the fact that he gave a spirited effort, went the distance against a prospect, it's still a positive effort for Verone tonight.
Certainly a confidence-boosting win for Ruvalcaba, and a confidence-boosting loss for Verone, because he answered some questions for himself as well too, after getting stopped so many times in recent fights.
And as we look at this fight in microcosm, Ruvalcaba was able to control things early and not only fight from range, but get on the inside at various times. Here you see him using the jab, which of course is his calling card. And then on the inside, ripping those body shots. Those were key, especially in the early and middle rounds, and may have slowed Verone down. And when Ruvalcaba decided to fight on the front foot and be that guy, he was able to do it. But Verone, as evidenced by this action, was still aggressive. And that was that moment in the middle rounds where Ruvalcaba felt the need to push him off. We saw some really good exchanges between these two fighters in the latter part of the fight, even though Ruvalcaba was more dominant. And then in the last round, this kind of action took place where Verone got overly confident in attacking Ruvalcaba, and then Ruvalcaba ended the fight with that offensive outburst.
Yeah, last 20 seconds, they just said, let's do it.
All right, we are ready to make this one official as we send it back up to the center of the ring.
After going all 8 rounds inside the Avalon Hollywood, the official scorecard reads as follows. All 3 judges are in complete agreement, turning in identical scores of 80-72 in favor of the winner by way of unanimous decision. And still undefeated as a pro, Ricardo Rubalcaba.
The WBC would like to present you with the Mental Health Medal. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's your winner, still undefeated. You had a lot of success with the body work. You were able to put on a pace. You were able to go all 8 rounds. What are you most proud of from your performance this evening?
I'm just happy to get in the rounds with an experienced veteran. You know, it was great experience that I need in my career, and I'm ready for the next one.
You train a mile down the street over at Wildcard. You see a bunch of killers day in and day out. What do you think is going to be next for you, taking the next leap in your career?
Man, I want a title. And for anybody at 140, 147, I'm ready.
That is a message everyone hears along the way. And mental health, it's important for all fighters to overcome. What's been the biggest obstacle you've overcome outside the ring that you brought with you for the fight here this evening?
My grandpa's in the hospital sick right now, and I know I had to perform for him. And I know he's watching this, and he's very proud of me.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your winner, a great cause. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give it up to alleviatax.com, because without their support,